Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and it is time to do a March currently inked. I am going to be giving some information towards the end of this video about a giveaway, so make sure that you stay tuned and are ready to get that information and join in on the giveaway. So without further ado, I am going to start my swatching. For February, I went really hard on the blush pink inks and really leaned into that February vibe, so to speak. For March, I'm going to really lean into the St. Patrick's Day vibe. So there's going to be a lot of greens, and I'm not mad about it. I'm pretty okay with it. So the first one that I'm holding in my hand is a Pilot Kakuno. This is a wonderful entry-level pen, so if you are newer to the fountain pen hobby, this is one that I would strongly recommend. Many enthusiasts who have a variety of pens in their collection say amazingly wonderful things about the Pilot Kakuno and the nib and how really easy this pen is to work with. I even saw a post on Reddit recently where someone posted asking if you could pick one pen and ink, what would it be? And someone said the Pilot Kakuno, that just speaks volumes. So definitely recommend this. Because this nib is so well behaved, I did throw a shimmer ink in this because I have confidence that it can handle it. So I am just going to do a little box of color. I forgot that I'd wanted to actually box it in because I do like how that looks. All right, so this is the Pilot Kakuno. This has a fine nib, and this does come in some different varieties of body color. If I were to do this over again, I probably would get the clear, but my son wanted I think he wanted a green pen body, and so I got one for him and one for me in this. But the nib has a different smiley face, so they have some that wink and kind of make some different expressions. All right, so this is inked up with Vinta Ebid. So Vinta Ebid has a nice shimmer to it. You can see right here at the bottom, this kind of light blue, sea foamy green shimmer is in there, and it's a good amount of shimmer too. So this was a sample that I got from Van Ness. And I did go ahead and swatch these on some different papers, so I will also show those. The next pen that I selected, and I get it, this is not green, it's not even close to it, but it has the shimmer to me, it's kind of a coppery shimmer. I'm gonna call it orange. And the flag for Ireland has some orange in it. So this has a fine Schmidt nib. It's got a little bounce to it, which is really nice. And this is the Talisman model of Benu. And this colorway is called Dream Beam. And it has a fine nib. The ink in this is Colorverse Pisces. And so this is a sample that I ordered from Goulet Pens. It's a grayish green, which is why I got it. I love me a good gray, anything in the gray family. And so that's really how I somewhat entered into color, is going from gray to a gray brown, a gray pink, a gray green. And so this is a really, really lovely color. All right, next up is the Kakuno Student in 1970s Soul. And I always giggle when I open this up, because the nib is just so petite. I mean, look at that. It's such a tiny nib. Now this one, I also put a shimmer in because when I first got this, I had it inked up pretty exclusively with Diamine Storm, which is one of their Inkvent inks. It's a dark blue with a lovely shimmer to it. And it did occasionally get clogged, but when it wasn't clogged, it just wrote beautifully. So Student 1970s Soul with a fine nib. And this is inked up with a Wearingeul ink called King Lear. And I believe I do have it right here. This is an ink journal sample. So this is a green ink. It has a little bit of pink shimmer. And when I say little, this one actually has just a little bit of pink shimmer, but even that little bit is pretty impactful. All right, my next pen is an Estherbrook SD. This is the colorway of Sea Glass. So beautiful. And you can get this with a rhodium or silver trim or a gold trim. I chose to get it in the silver trim. I think the gold is just as beautiful. Sometimes when I see it in other people's videos, I kick myself and think, gosh, you should have got that one. I am very much so anxiously awaiting the white SD. I think that would be perfect to match the rest of my collection. So every couple of days or so, I am going to check to see if there's any information on a launch date, because I want to make sure to get it. I wasn't keeping up with the Raven launch, and I really would have loved the Raven with the button fill. I did find it on another website, but it didn't have the nib with the Raven etched into it, and I just think that that's a big, for me, that's a big feature of that pen that I would really love. So I didn't get it on the other website. So again, occasionally I'll go to the Estherbrook website and see if they have the button fill Raven back in stock in a nib size that I would enjoy. Apologies for the pausing. I just get so excited when I do these videos, so I want them to last. This is also inked up with a Colorverse ink, and this is the A Uma. So this is also a sample from Van Ness. I really love getting samples from Van Ness because of the large sample size. And it's been a while since I've ordered a sample. I have heard that Goulet Pens is offering larger sample sizes now. Feel free to confirm that if you know it to be true. But I appreciate the larger samples. All right, so this next pen one of my favorites. This is the Sailor Mano nuts with the little acorn on the finial. Is that not the cutest thing? So this is a pen that I really, really, really wanted. And it came out as like a gift set with a bottle of ink in this beautiful satin lined box. And it was sold out for a while. And about the time that it restocked on Goulet pens, I played Keno and won enough money to buy this pen plus a little bit more. And so I actually, once I won the money, I purchased it right there while sitting at the bar. Not ashamed of it either. Oh, I love this pen. So this is inked up with Ferris Wheel Press, Peter Moss. I was nervous about putting a Ferris Wheel Press ink in this pen, even though it's a medium fine. It is a Japanese nib, and so a medium fine is closer to a fine or an extra fine, and Ferris Wheel Press inks can tend to be a little on the dry side, but it's actually writing really nicely. And as I prepared for this video and did the swatches on other papers, I really enjoyed how this pen wrote. Now this was a very last minute edition. Oh, let me just show. I have Peter Moss. This was also from Ink Journal. So this is left over from January, and the pen body is not translucent in any way, shape, or form. So I have no clue how much ink is actually in this pen. But it was a sample sent to me by a viewer, and I just don't have the heart to dump the sample out or waste it in any way. So what I decided to do was add it onto this currently inked and use it up. And when it's used up, it's used up. I'll clean it out, but that way I don't feel like I'm wasting. It is very similar to Peter Moss, but a little bit lighter. And this is a Pelikan M600 with an extra fine nib. This is a little bit finer, a little bit scratchier than my M400 extra fine nib, but it is starting to loosen up. So that's really good, but I love it regardless. And this is Robert Oster, or Oster. So I hear some people pronounce it Robert Oster. And I do have I think a relatively new subscriber or new commenter, Lily, who's from Australia. And I know Robert Oster is an Australian brand. So whether it's Lily or someone else from Australia, if you can give me a little phonetic pronunciation, I would really appreciate that. I don't like mispronouncing things. So I would love any guidance that I could get. All right, this is also a carryover. So I inked this up last month with a gray ink and did not use it as much as I anticipated. So there's still ink in it I don't want to waste. So I'm just going to go ahead and have this for my gray ink for this month. So if you have watched my video from last month, this is not going to be anything new or surprising. Apologies. So this is a Noveler Nautilus. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to use a little brass shim on this nib. As you're probably noticing, there are some initial downstrokes that the ink is not flowing. So I just want to give it a little swipey swipe with a brush shim and see if I can get it flowing a little bit more consistently. And this is with a fine nib. I do find that I often, if I'm journaling with this, I am often laying on my belly on the floor, and I don't tend to have any issues writing with it at that angle, but I would like it to work at the seated desk angle, which is why I want to use a brass shim on it. So this is inked up with Colorverse under the shade. And I don't know if anyone noticed, I just did a quick little shift of the angle of the nib as I'm writing, and now it's writing fine. So it's just slightly finicky. All right, so that is my gray ink. And then I so thoroughly enjoyed the Laban Rosa in lilac with an extra fine nib last month as my black ink in my planner that goes with me basically wherever I go, comes to work with me, goes, you know, really anywhere. I don't know why I'm even gonna bother trying to list it. If I'm somewhere, my planner's with me. And so I had this inked up last month with Laban Athena, and I ended up writing it dry, and instead of adding more Laban Athena, I went ahead and added a different black ink. And so that's the ink that I'm going to use for this month. If you watch my planning videos, you already know what ink it is. So this is Laban Rosa in a lilac colorway with an extra fine nib. And this is inked up with Monte Grappa, Harry Potter, Thestral Black. And when this dries, it has a very slight gold sheen to it, which is really beautiful. Also, fun fact, a year ago today, I got this pen back from Gold Spot. I purchased it from Gold Spot. It had some initial difficulty with writing where the ink flow wasn't consistent. It was drying out mid-sentence, but then occasionally this like blob of ink would fall out of it. So I contacted Gold Spot, sent it back to them, and they determined that it was actually the converter that needed to be replaced. So they put a new converter in, sent it back, and I received it back a year ago today. And I actually wrote about receiving it, and obviously I put ink in it right away. I started writing with it, and I commented in my journaling that it wrote really dry. And I find that to just be so fascinating because all I've been saying is how juicy it is. And so I do wonder if it's just the ink that was really dry, and that's part of what makes this hobby so wonderful. All right, so let me just do a little wiggle so you can see any shimmer that might come out. There we go. Now, before I show the other papers, for those of you that stuck around this far, I just want to introduce a giveaway that I would like to do. So I, like many people in the community this year, am looking to really downsize my collection to be what I consistently use and not just a collection of stuff. which is what it feels like right now. Now, don't get me wrong, I love all my things, I love all my inks, I love all my pens, but the reality of using them all in my lifetime is pretty slim, especially because I know that there will be new things purchased. That's, you know, I get things gifted, and I'm very appreciative of that. Anywho, so what I wanted to do for this month is the 5 inks that I have selected that happened to all be samples, so it lent itself really nicely to my idea, is I would like to give these 5 samples away to a viewer. And while I was pulling inks out, I stumbled across my sample of Van Diemen's Tiger Snake, which I have purchased a bottle of. So I'd like to add this one to it. So 6 samples. In the description, there's going to be a Google form. All you need to do is fill out the Google form. I will put in a caveat. You do need to be subscribed. So if you're not and you want to enter into this giveaway, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. And fill out the Google form, and I will select a winner. And I'm going to give a week. So on March 7th, at probably about 5 o'clock in the evening, I will close the Google form, and I will then select a winner. In that Google form, I will ask for your email address and your shipping address, so I will let you know if you're the winner, and I will send out these samples to you. And I'm so excited to be able to give back to this community. Now let's look at these same inks on some other papers. So this is the Galen Leather Co. Tomoe River paper, and I got this in September of 2022. So I believe it's the old Tomoe River paper. Now this is the new Tomoe River paper in the Hobonichi Cousin. So it looks pretty similar. The Pelican M600, which I wrote down the wrong model initially, when I first started writing with it, because I didn't use it in February, it was a little dry, so it was very saturated. So that's why it looks a little bit darker, but the rest is there. And next up, sorry for the shifting, but I am going to shift some things. I have Cosmo Air Light paper, and this is also a Galen Leather Co. Everyday Notebook. With the Cosmo Air Light paper, I find that the way that the ink settles on the page, it's, how do I want to describe this? It almost like blends into itself. And so here you can see the different strokes of the pen, and here it looks very fluid. It looks very uniform. But it does show some good shading. The Montegrappa has shininess to it. It's very interesting. It's very, yeah. And then last but certainly not least is Rhodia. Now I do want to, I think I have some Rhodia paper that doesn't have a grid on it. I do want to try to get Rhodia paper that doesn't have the noisy background, because I wonder if it takes away from things. But here are the swatches on the Rhodia paper. So those are the different papers that I swatch things out on. I am going to wrap up this video. You will see a Google form link in the description. Please enter the giveaway, and I wish everyone the best of luck and a wonderfully productive day or week. Bye.